your drama queen. And welcome to the drama castle. Overheard them mention hater, not a pretty word like moist or moisture. Wanna quit but you know I'm a soldier. Try to get me out, you know it's game over. Say it's toxic, chaotic, unhealthy. Always play my cards right, don't test me. I'm not here to play nice, no I can't be. And if you're trying to stop me, that's a guarantee. Too many people try to get me out, and it worked for a second, but I'm back now, better than ever. Welcome to the drama castle. I am your drama queen, and welcome to the drama castle. You try to stop me, but you can't. Too many people try to stop me, but you can't. You can't. Black magic, night walker, she haunts me like no other. Nobody told me love is pain. Oh, black magic, dark water, surrounds me like no other. She's got my heart in chains.
We're volatile, I can't call it though. It's like too large a peg and too small a hole. But she cheats and I catch her like the common cold. Last time I broke a collarbone, she tolerable. All I know is that the sex is phenomenal though. We're an unlikely pair, like two different Nike Airs. But I'm the same size she wears, so I think we're soulmates though. People don't like us together, but like we care. Yeah, but God strike me dead. She knows that I would walk over hot coals for her with both of my feet bare. But soon as I ask to hit, it's like she grabs a switch and turns me over her knee, cause my ass is whipped. Yeah, and I got her back on violence. So when she stabs me in mine, it's like I just can't feel the knife. As she pokes, jabs, and slices, 1 minute she'll build me up, the next she'll push me down. Probably why she calls me dumbbell. She lifts me up, then puts me down. But I am under her thumbnail, I must be under her spell. It's like looking right into a gun barrel. None of these hoes can fuck with my girl, she got that
Black magic, night walker, she haunts me like no other. Nobody told me love is pain. Oh, black magic, dark water, surrounds me like no other. She's got my heart in chains.
We wake up, break up, make up like Maybelline. Now she's all made up like make-believe. Probably why she's so fake to me. But what the fuck's it gonna take for me to make her see? Strip her naked and take her keys. I've been planning this thing for weeks, but I can't tell if I'm awake or asleep. But if this is actually happening, sucker for pain. I'm stuck in this radioactive pattern, but her by her motherfucking hair's all I imagine dragging. She lunges, attacks and scratches, but I ain't gonna stand for that shit. Like half of the national anthem as I stab, I'm laughing so much for witchcraft and magic. Abracadabra that bitch, no turning back, I'm blacking. As I say farewell to the love of my life, I cut and I slice, I give her one last hug goodbye. Wipe the blood off my butterfly knife. Watch her fucking die right in front of my eyes, but in hindsight, think I just wanted to see what her insides look like. As I pop another 5 bites, that's what this high's like. Look down, there's blood on my knife, shovel at my side, blood on my mic. Now wake up to music to be murdered by like. This is me shit, I just want us to kill it.
Black magic, night walker, she haunts me like no other. Nobody told me love is pain. Oh, black magic, dark water, surrounds me like no other. She's got my heart in chains. Black magic, night walker, she haunts me like no other. Nobody told me love is pain. Oh, black magic, dark water, surrounds
Hello, hello, hello. How are y'all doing? It is an early stream. Um, so basically, I have been ever since I stopped covering this topic, right? A lot of people have found me because of this topic. And I think it was about like 6 months ago. Um, when a bunch of drama happened and I was like, you know what, I'm not talking about this anymore. We're gonna move on. I want to do other things. There have been people throughout that time who've asked me, what happened? Are you still gonna talk about it? And there were a few streams that I did kind of address this that I had privated because I was very emotional and going through some shit. So now that I'm more calm, cool, collected, I felt like maybe, now's the time because I also got asked this again last night. And I said, you know what, maybe it is time to kind of just address this elephant in the room. I'm sure that this is going to be seen by some people who are going to react because that's just what people do. They have all rights to do so. But I did want to address to everyone, like, kind of what happened. And because, a lot of y'all did come here because of the Andy Signore situation. So I guess that's what we're going to talk about today, but I'm going to say hello to the chat. We're going to get the chat up on the screen here. I see Scared Knights here. Hello. I see Parasolo here. Hello, hello. Susan B. Hello. Unstoppable Jojo. Hello. How are you? Shay, like the stream. Yes, thank you. Please like the stream. Appreciate you. Hollywood Huggy saying living legend. Well, thank you. Hate and Nate saying hi, Melon Lord. Hello, Hate and Nate. How are you? Much love to the chat. Y'all are awesome. You don't have to tell me the reason why. Well, a lot of people want to know, and I'm just like, you know what? Let's just talk about it. Let's just get this out in the open. So basically, if you are new here, I always do the thing where I have to like fill y'all in on what the hell I'm talking about. So about a few years ago, I had covered Andy Signore from Popcorn Planet, and basically what it was about is how he was having these relationships with members of his community, females in his community of the sexual nature. And that kind of just like opened floodgates. So many people came out, had stories. I've talked to like multiple different women, with stories to tell, and I platformed a few of them. Now this was going on for a long time. This is about like maybe 2 years of talking about Andy Signore. And overall, Andy is, in my opinion, an asshole. And I think that he has a problem. But basically what started happening is a few of the women that I had platformed, they came out with their stories. One of them had proof that they were in a sexual relationship. If y'all didn't see the infamous video, but what had happened was there was some drama that started happening and then started making me question these women's stories. The first one that I platformed, actually, we'll talk about the first one after. We'll talk about the second one that came out. So the second lady who came out, her name was Nicole. And, she didn't have any physical evidence, but, when you got all the girls together, they all collaborate their stories. So I was like, if you want to come on and tell your story, that's fine. So she did. And then shortly after that, I had gotten DMs from people from Andy Signore's community saying that this woman's not being honest, or at least, that she's not a good person, because this is actually what she did when she was part of Andy Signore's community. And so, I'm trying to hear everyone's side because that's what I do. Like, I don't know these people on a personal level like that. So obviously I want to hear everyone's side of things. So from what my understanding was, and I don't really want to open up all of the wounds, but just to kind of give you guys like kind of a little bit of understanding of what happened there, is that this woman wasn't being 100% honest with me. And then, she started exhibiting similar behaviors from what I was being warned about within my community. That caused a lot of issues with me and my friend group. Fractured friendships to this day. Those friendships are still fractured. Um, and that kind of is like, had to get rid of that person, had to redact her story basically, and even apologize for platforming her in the first place. So that was the first time. After that, things seemed to be fine. Everybody else was on the same page, and we continue as we have been, calling out Andy for the things that, he's done. Then we got to the first person who came out, Brittany. And when she came out, she was the very first one. Everything was fine. Everyone was on the same page. But again, similar patterns. Like, it's about the patterns for me, right? There was a lot of drama behind the scenes with that, as far as like personal relationships people were having. Things getting messy. And then after, Andy himself showed up in one of my streams and made, I wouldn't say made an accusation because like there's facts behind it, but basically tried to bring up some personal stuff with one of those women legally that really didn't have anything to do with what she was saying happened with her and him. It kind of caused that woman to go into like a tizzy and basically snap on everybody. And that one kind of hurt me a little bit because I was very close with that one, and it got to the point where like this, when I say it got bad, I mean, people were accusing me, this woman who I platformed and told her story and, supported her 100% without question of a doubt, thought that she was being 100% honest with everything, started accusing me of getting paid by Andy Signore to turn on her. Like, you can't make that up. Like, I was now being accused by people who I thought knew me, and I thought I knew them, now being accused of being a paid pansy for Andy Signore. And this is like probably like a year and a half after the fact, now being accused of something like that. I was absolutely like dumbfounded and really hurt because I'm sitting here like, I genuinely cared about you women. Like, I genuinely did. But for somebody who does that, there's something like, I don't know where the connections got crossed or it's broken, whatever. It was just really weird. What is baby doing? Baby, stop. What the hell is she doing? She went in her crate and she's just like scratching the thing. It was distracting. So now we have another female who I liked and who I, cared about, now accusing me of being paid by Andy Signore, which was crazy. And then, of course, the usual, you took advantage of us. You only just wanted us for clicks and all that stuff. And I'm sitting here like, that is the most insane, absurd thing I heard because, people who were there will tell you when this first dropped, this whole situation with Andy Signore, I wasn't even going to monetize. As a matter of fact, the videos I had made with these women, I did not monetize a single of one of those videos. Now, I monetized the other videos that when I talked about Andy, sure, but the ones where these women came on, I wasn't trying to make money off of them. It had nothing to do with money. It had nothing to do with clicks. It all had to do with letting these women have a platform to speak because, they were going up against a YouTuber at the time who had like, 500,000 subscribers. He's closer to 1 million now, by the way. I haven't even looked at his channel in the longest time, but he's closer to 1 mil now. So that was mainly the goal, the objective, right? Was to allow people to tell their story. But when this happened, a lot of things, in my head was like, wow, these are people I trusted. These are people I cared about. How quickly they turn because, and that's what made me start questioning the legitimacy of these people's stories, right? Is because all Andy did was come in the chat and say, a personal situation that happened with one of the women in attempts to get her to lose credibility for her story. And even though, looking back on it, it really wasn't going to hurt her credibility. It wasn't going to hurt her credibility. And everybody who was involved stressed that to this woman, that this situation, knowing what he's trying to do, it's not going to hurt your credibility. All it is to intimidate you, get you to freak out and stop talking about it. And pretty much that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. She did everything that he intended on happening when he brought that up in my chat. Bringing up a charge, a criminal charge she had that had literally nothing to do with what she was saying happened between her and Andy, caused her to crash out to the point where now her credibility was in question. And when I realized that, wait a minute, because it wasn't what Andy said that caused me to have suspicion of her credibility. It was the crash out that followed that made me question her credibility. In considering that now I am the one now questioning the credibility, it also questions my credibility, right? It questions my credibility and my ability to properly have vetted these women, which again, there was no real proper vetting. We had somebody who had a story. They had receipts, lots and lots and lots of receipts. But the question was the whole, how much did you consent or how much did it make you uncomfortable conversation that was really in question at this point. And it had turned out that looking back on everything, me and a couple others were like, yeah, there's something up with this reaction. Like, this is not a reaction to somebody who doesn't have anything to hide. This is a reaction to somebody who might be not being 100% honest with you. Okay. Now, after that happened, a lot of people wanted to really call this girl out. And I said, you know what? At this point, just let Andy do it. Let Andy call her out, right? But that really didn't happen. That really didn't come. Andy went quiet again because at this point, he already knew he kind of won on that one. He got her to crash out. She crashed out, and then the truth kind of came out with that. So then there was the last girl standing. And again, I'm not trying to dive deep into it. It's been a while, so I'm just not going to dive too deep into what happened there. All I'll say is that because I was already in a place where I had already been deceived twice, and I was just tired of the same old drama stuff. I'm a drama channel, guys, but even I gotta have like my point where it's like I can't deal with the personalized drama stuff when it comes to people that like, I'm cool with behind the scenes, that I talk to behind the scenes. Like, I just can't do it all the time. And a lot of that stuff did happen, and it caused a lot of fractures in friendships and relationships. And I was just over it, man. It was like, it was enough for me. I was like at my breaking point. And after I had just gone through hell in my personal life, I just couldn't do it, man. So, there was one last hurrah of drama with with the last, people standing in this. And I just was like, I'm done. I'm done with it. Because to me, number one, nothing that we have done in the last few years covering Andy really changed anything. That man's still growing. He's still doing stuff. It's not going to change anything. He was never going to take accountability. He was never going to try to even work it out with these women, which I did advise him to do. I said, this is a situation between you and these women. This is something that you should be handling with these women behind the scenes. And you don't want this stuff public. Well, blocking and hoping it goes away is not the answer. Especially with the last woman, all she really wanted was like accountability on your behalf, an apology. And he brought up the whole, well, she tried to blackmail me. I don't want to talk to her because what if she tries again? Well, if she tries again, then you just do what most people do. Grab receipts, prove it. There's no harm in having a conversation and trying to work things out if you're not actually trying to work things out. We're all adults here. Andy is older than I am. Like, there's no excuse to be pressed at a YouTuber covering a story, which if the roles were reversed, Andy Signore would be all over it. So I feel like the easiest thing for him to have done was to just talk to these women and see what he could have done to fix the issues behind the scenes. But because instead he decided to just block and like move away from it and not address it, it just seemed to make it worse. But overall, I just feel kind of shitty that so like a couple of these people were not really 100% honest, and it hurt my credibility, right? Like, it hurt my credibility a little bit because now, if anything actually does happen, right, and somebody comes to me, it's already going to look bad. And that's the sad part, is because it does hurt other women who had stories. Because like I said, it wasn't just the 3 women who came with public that had stories. I talked to multiple different women who didn't want to make it public because they didn't have receipts to back their claims. But they also just wanted me to know, like, yeah, I believe these women's stories because they happened to me too. But that's the sad thing, is because even now, if Andy is continually doing this stuff, like, no one's gonna care. No one's gonna really listen to these women if he does do anything else. So that's the thing that sucks, is because of what happened with a couple of these women, that's just the reality of it. That's just the reality of it. But did he really share his small peen with them? I mean, without consent. So I'm under the impression with some of them, yes, but not with all of them. The ones who came forward, 2 of them especially, I will say 2 of them, it does appear that there was consent withdrawn and then consent given again. And with the other one, I think consented the whole time, to be quite honest with you. So honestly, it gets to that point where if I don't know, it's probably best to just not keep covering him like I was, because it's like I just don't know at this point. But I'm not gonna apologize for covering it, because at the end of the day, like, before I covered the stuff with these women, I was already calling Andy out for other things. This was just to add on to the, like, oh, well, I guess Andy really is that kind of asshole that we thought he was, because now we have these women coming forward, right? I don't apologize for it. I don't think that I wouldn't have done it again, because I still think that Andy is one of those YouTubers that I just think is taking advantage of people. And that is my opinion. And I do feel like he did a lot of these women dirty, even if it wasn't as dirty as they were trying to say it was, as far as like the sexual side of things. I think that there was definitely manipulation, 100%. Like that, I don't question. Again, when it comes to like consent, not consent, that's completely a valid thing. But I do feel like, a lot of these women might have consented due to maybe promises he gave, or things that, the expectations they might have had set with whatever relationships they were having with him. So I do think that is something that did happen during those times. Because it's not the first time. Like, Andy has done this to men. And when I say he's done this to men, I mean he hasn't done sexual things to men, but there is a lot of gaslighting he does, a lot of manipulation, a lot of victim, playing victim. He always plays a victim. Everyone's out to get him. All these people who he was cool with just all of a sudden turn on him, and for no reason, right? It's all everybody else's fault. It's never Andy's fault. So there was a lot of reasons to call him out in the first place. But at this point, it's like he's getting too big. He's getting too big to even fight with, because his community is just like very cult like. And even when he was smaller, people would ride or die for him. He has people actively watching YouTube channels talking about him. They watched me for a long time. They're probably watching now, because his face is in the thumbnail, his name's in the thumbnail. They've been watching me for a while. Andy basically straight up admitted that, yeah, he has all the archives of all the streams I made about him, just in case he wants to file a lawsuit, which I know he's never going to do, but it's like, that was the initial reason I even called him out in the first place. And then these women came forward, and that just made it like, holy shit, what the hell is going on? But talking about him now constantly, like I was, or trying to call him out all the time, I mean, I've done that. And at this point, if people don't know the kind of person Andy Signore is, that's kind of on them at this point, because a lot of videos still are out there talking about him. People start seeing him, his mask slips here and there. The Meghan Markle, Prince Harry communities have gone at him. And I think the reason why he started coming out and pushing back after being silent for the longest time was because a lot of people were kind of seeing him for who he was, and then seeing all these women's stories, and he panicked. He panicked. He wanted to shut it down. But the reason why I didn't stop talking wasn't because of him. There's a lot of people who had been saying that, after me and Andy had conversations, that Andy got in my head. And I'm telling you 100%, Andy Signore never got into my head. I knew the entire time we spoke that the intention was to try to get me to admit to things that I was never going to admit to, and to get information out of me about, who some people were and who I talked to, which I didn't give him really anything. He kind of already knew a lot of the women that I had spoken to. He kind of already knew. He also knew some of the things that those women had told me, and he tried to basically tell, his recollection of events, and try to get me to question every single woman. But more so, his main objective was to try to get me to silence the last woman, which I told him I could not do, even if I wanted to. Even if I wanted to say, hey, stop talking about it, I could not do that. That they don't have any obligation to listen to me. So that's why when people say Andy got in your head, that's why she's acting like this, I'm like, no, I'm acting like this because of certain people's own actions. But I'm not going to tell them that they have to stop talking about it. I just chose to stop talking about it because, at this point, there was really nothing more to say other than repeat the same stories. And, that was basically it. Like, was Andy being inappropriate with women in his community? That's a yes. Did some of these women, consent to it? Sure. Does it make it right? Kind of no, because don't forget, this man got canceled for this already way back in the day, like years ago. And that was the thing that I kept stressing, regardless of which. Don't you guys find it weird that he got canceled from a bunch of women coming out about his sexual advances and all this stuff, and then he's doing it again? Like, no one's thinking that's crazy and that's weird. Well, he's an adult. Yeah, but that's all the more reason. You don't get canceled for doing something and then years later do it again and then think that just because there's consent that makes it okay. You're sitting there looking at this man like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? And that's what it really came down to. And more so how he treated a lot of the women in his community that were unpaid help. We're talking about moderators who worked as part of his little team doing all the research for him, and being treated like they didn't matter. They definitely did matter. And that was another thing that was really a focus too, because yes, after a while the focus became the sexual stuff of these women, and then everything else kind of got lost in the sauce, because people were forgetting that this all started with moderators finding out about these relationships he was having with these women and speaking on it and being shut down, you know, because there was concern, because Andy's community was compiled at the time, especially of a lot of victims of, DVSA and stuff. So when they hear that a big content creator is messing around with women, especially when these women are presenting it as like it's unwanted advances, yeah, they're going to react, they're going to speak out. So I feel like those women especially needed to get more acknowledgement too, of the fact that they were also treated like shit in that community, and they never really got anything as far as like, I'm sorry. Even I'm sorry you feel that way, like, even I'm sorry that you feel that way kind of seems like a dickish thing to say, but it's like they didn't even get I'm sorry you feel that way. There was nothing. And that was the saddest part, because these women would have never said nothing had they been treated better. You know, that's what it comes down to. And I did basically say that, because Andy kept stressing that these women are nothing but drama. And it's like, yes, women by nature, we can be dramatic because we're emotional creatures, but that's still no excuse to dismiss them and treat them like they never fucking mattered in the first place. These women wouldn't be acting like this if they didn't care. And I know this firsthand, because a lot of these women, regardless of, all the shit I said about the drama and stuff, it's undeniable. They all did care. They all did care. Genuinely did care. But I take that back. Not all of them. I don't think all of them. Like, some of them, I'm looking back like, nah, actually, I'll take that back. They didn't all care. But the moderators, those women, the ones that were part of his little research team and shit, they cared. They cared about Andy, and they cared about the things that Andy was covering. And that's what it came down to for me. I think that those women especially need to hear an I'm sorry from Andy. They never will, unfortunately, but those women definitely deserve some recognition on how they were treated and cast out. Drama aside, like, even if there was drama, I think that there was a better way to have handled those situations. And I don't think Andy handled it well, but again, I guess his defense would be like, well, I'm only human. And it's like, I get that, but like, a lot of these women weren't really as bad as he made it seem. Some of these women were definitely people that I could tell like really cared. They cared about me. They were here for a long time. But then, obviously drama happens, and some things just, opened your eyes a little bit. But yeah, what the hell? Sorry, I just got like distracted because I like looked at my phone, and there's a video of somebody boiling toilet paper and putting seasoning in it, and I'm like, what the hell is this video that just popped up? This looks like ground beef. They turned toilet paper into ground beef. That's disgusting. That's poor people, guys. This is how you know. Like, one of these days, by the end of the month, I'm gonna be making food with toilet paper. Oh, it's not food. Okay, I thought it was food. I was confused. Oh, Steph is one of the with the straight accent. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Most women care until they benefit. I think it's most people. I don't think it's women. I unsubscribed to these peeps after this kicked off. Yeah. I mean, it just really, like I said, a lot of these women, I know they're not bad deep down, and the ones I'm talking about, they know who I'm talking about. I just think that there was way too much drama that we all got involved in with certain things that we shouldn't have. But again, we are, I know I just said that Andy would use that as an excuse, but it's not an excuse, it's just the truth. Like, we are human. And, even with the best intentions in mind, doesn't necessarily mean everything works out the way it's supposed to work out. So that's when it comes down to it. I was kind of just like, there was too many people I cared about that, like, we kind of just went our separate ways because it was just too much. And I kind of was just over it. I was kind of over it at that point. And I wasn't really even trying to argue with people. I am emotional, I'm passionate, and things just bother me and I speak out. And I mean, it just is what it is. But that's kind of, like I said, why I don't plan on really covering the Andy Signore stuff. I know people want me to. I've had people message me recently about, oh, Andy's making another GoFundMe for something, and this is happening. Oh, I thought you came back because Andy was doing this, and I'm sitting there like, no, I wasn't planning on any of that, but I figured it was time to just address it because I have had a lot of people ask me about why I stopped talking about it and why I'm probably not going to dive into it anymore. So some of us cared and were lied to, but that's life. I mean, right, but it's notable to call it out, because that's how I felt when these women first came to me, because it was really the moderators that came to me first about what happened. And there's no denying that sucked. I saw the messages between the mods and Andy. I heard the voice clips between, one of them, and it's sad. It's really sad that these women, you could say they're drama. Everybody's fucking drama at the end of the day, right? But you can't say these women didn't care. I know they cared. I know deep down that some of these women, I still care about them. I know deep down they still care about me, but they're mad at me because of some stupid ass fucking shit that should have never happened. But they have to understand, like, trust for me was broken. All right. I give my trust easily, and I still do. And I don't know why I do. It's just a fucking flaw I have where I give my trust out easily. And when that shit's broken, it really fucks with me. It messes with my head. It messes with me mentally. It kind of makes me go into my own little tizzy, my own little crash out, right? And that's really what it is that, after everything I had been through in my personal life that a lot of these women knew about, and then a lot of the stuff that was going on, with some of the other people that we used to be cool with, and, one of the women who started this whole thing, right? The things that person was saying about not just me, but all of us was absolutely fucking absurd, unhinged, crazy. And it broke me. That, like, if anyone wants to know who actually got who actually got into my head and broke me and caused me to, like, question everything and like lose faith in so many people with this whole thing, it was actually her. That was the woman who broke me. It was not Andy Signore, it was her, because I cannot till this day understand why somebody would accuse me and all these other people who were genuinely your friend and genuinely cared about you, why you would say things about us and accuse us of working with Andy Signore the whole time. Like, not just, like, I can understand maybe if she thought that, after she separated from us, that maybe we went to Andy or something. I could see that being more of a rational thought process than assuming that the entire time was a sting operation to convince you to come out and tell your story about you and Andy, and then, send us all your proof and evidence and us talk about it for years, completely shitting on that man for years, to the point where he's threatened to sue everybody. Never did it, but threatened to sue everybody. His friggin' tack dogs would come at us all the time. But yes, the whole time it was a sting operation ordered by Andy Signore, specifically targeted at this one woman. Like, that's literally what she was saying on social media about us. And that broke me. Like, I'm talking about, like, when I say we were all close with these women, like, when we were all close, like, these women know me, like, personally, these women hung out together in person. went to a convention together, spent time together, slept in the same hotel rooms and shit. Like, this was not just some online relationships that we're talking about. Like, we all became very, very close and tight knit. And for that person to now all of a sudden, like, you basically proved Andy right the whole time. That's the sad thing, is you proved Andy right. When Andy said that y'all were nothing but drama and shit, and then one of these women is acting like this and doing this shit, that's exactly what Andy was basically saying. So good job proving the person right. And that's disgusting to say, because, like, bro, what the fuck? And that's what truly broke me. But, the sad thing is, like, some of these people, again, I'm not going to name names. If they know who they are. That's all more that matters. They know who they are. And maybe y'all will know who it is too, but I'm not going to say it here. But this person in particular, like, the audacity for you to co-sign what that chick is saying, talking about Andy Signore must have gotten her head, you must have missed the plot. You must have missed the plot. Because around that time, we were literally watching somebody we thought we knew, thought we were cool with, crashing out and saying the most absurd, crazy, psychotic things about us that was unprovoked, all because we questioned something that was a very simple question. And the whole thing was like, because Andy Signore came into this chat. Let me just tell you that story. I'll tell you that part. Andy Signore came in my chat one time and I was talking about him, right? And he brings up that one of the girls had a forgery charge. Okay. What the fuck did a forgery charge have to do with the sexual shit that he did with this woman, right? Okay. Nothing. The answer is nothing. Because he tried to paint it as, well, if she's capable of committing fraud, what makes you think she's telling the truth about me? Bro, committing money fraud is not on the same lines as you being a sex pest with her, bro. Like, that's not the same, right? So when I agreed to talk to him about this, have a legit voice call with him to kind of discuss this situation, right? Everybody for the most part was on board but this one woman. Okay? And we were sitting there like, it's like, don't you guys want to know? Like, he's been ignoring us for years, and now all of a sudden he's willing to talk about this. Like, don't you want to know what the fuck he has to say? Know what he knows or thinks he knows, hear his recollection of events, right? Or what he's going to say was his recollection of it. Like, don't y'all want to know? Right? And everyone kind of was like, yeah, like, have the conversation, like, maybe, there'll be some kind of resolution, whatever, right? Who knows? We kind of knew that wasn't going to happen, but who knows? Maybe, right? But the one woman didn't want me to have the conversation because to her, she said that she was afraid that he was going to manipulate me. And I said, he already tried that. That's why do you think I got involved in this in the first place? He already tried that. He already tried that with me. And that's why I started calling him out. He already tried that. And he was denied. Okay. So I'm not going to get manipulated because I have no investment in him. There's no manipulation here. But she was very adamant. And then eventually she agreed. And the very next day, the infamous long ass message about how all of a sudden it went from us being supportive to her and saying, if you don't, giving her the option, by the way, I gave her the option. Here's the thing. I am under no obligation to ask permission to have a conversation with anybody. Okay. I am in under no obligation to not have a conversation with anybody and need permission to do so. But out of respect for these women, because it was about them, I gave them the option, right? Like, hey, now you would think that if I was self-serving and I only was covering Andy Signore and doing this for myself, then I would say, fuck what y'all have to say. I'm going to talk about Andy and then talk about what I talked about Andy on a live stream, right? Like, that would be something an opportunist would do. But no, I sat down and I let everybody involved get into a call and say, hey, what y'all want me to do about this, right? So it went from us being supportive to this woman to now all of a sudden we weren't being supportive because I had asked her, I said, okay, I'm going to let Andy know we're going to have the conversation, right? But is there anything that I need to know before I go into this conversation? Like, is there anything, did you forget something to tell me? Or like, is there any part of the story I should know about? Anything that you guys could think of on the top of your head that I should know, right? And she was the only one who kind of took that and snapped, because that comment alone got her to respond the next day after we all agreed that it was fine for me to have the conversation with Andy Signore. Very next day, she had responded, basically saying how we all were not believing her and that, you know, she's a good person and all this stuff. And I'm sitting here like, bro, what the fuck is going on? And that's when we started questioning, like, why are you acting like this? It kind of sounds like you do have something you don't want me to hear Andy say. Like, you don't want me to talk to him now because he might tell me something that I did not know prior to this whole situation. And that's what started the fallout there. And that's why I say I don't believe her, because I do think that what actually happened, which I got confirmation later on, with that, because I had talked to Andy later on, but I had gotten confirmation that yes, consent was given back. And that's what she didn't want me to know, is that the consent was given back. Because the way she framed it was that she withdrew consent and then she gave it back. I'm sorry, that she withdrew consent and then Andy sent her the FAP video, and that was not true. What had really happened was she had withdrawn consent because she had found out that there were other women, that she was not the only one, and that's what actually really happened. So when that happened, obviously I had to come forward and say what happened, because like, dude, like, that this whole entire time for years, this was the impression I got, that with consent was withdrawn and then it was given back. I'm sorry, that consent was withdrawn, then you got that video, but I didn't know it was given back. And then, you know, for the first time, like, you know, all of a sudden it went from, well, I withdrew consent to coercion. You know, so I'm kind of just sitting there like, bro, something's not right in the force. And that's just what it comes down to, you know. So now you guys tell me, after all this, like, what's the point? Because at this point, the credibility from a lot of these people has been basically shitted on. And the only people I would say really that I really wish would get some kind of accountability apology from him are the moderators, or definitely the moderators, because they were not supposed to be treated like that. Like, I don't understand why you can blame these women, these moderators, for reacting to finding out that this shit was going on behind the scenes, because that's all they did. That's all they really did. Like, there was a lot of things that, you know, they were treated like second grade citizens over there, and they shouldn't have been, you know. And these are women who are very, very talented, very, you know, when it comes to research and compiling. One of these women has a blog post that she really articulates everything that she covers. Very underrated women out here. When I think underrated is the right term, where like they're very talented and they're very articulate, smart, and they were over there trying to like do good. You know, none of these women wanted clout. None of these women wanted to do that shit through Andy. I mean, even when Andy offered, you know, to help these women, you know, learn how to do producer like stuff, you know, be part of a news team and shit, and also like, you know, help them, like, all that stuff never happened, you know. And they kind of got screwed for a long time. And for them especially, I think that they definitely deserve a lot of recognition out there, and it sucks that they're never going to get that accountability or apology from him. Because he's like, well, what do I have to apologize for? I was like, you don't think the way you treated those women wasn't bad? Like, you know, none of those women did anything, man. Like, they really didn't. Well, they were drama and you don't even know, you weren't there. I was like, yeah, well, I heard the friggin' voice clips, like these women pleading to you to, like, you know, but I don't say pleading, but women saying sorry for that. You know, they took accountability themselves. You know, if there was drama, they were like, yeah, no, we're sorry. Like, you know, they could do it, but you couldn't. I just don't understand. They just wanted to be heard, and they just want an apology. Like, that's the least you can give them, is a fucking apology. Yes, Andy is an example of how not to treat your moderators. I mean, some of his moderators like it, I guess. I don't know, but the ones who didn't. But this is years of stuff. And like I said, I'm bringing it up because you know people have been asking, and you know there was not really a calm, cool, and collected answer that I gave because I was emotional at the time. So now that I'm calm, I can not be driven by emotion to discuss it. So, and I'm sure that I mean, if these women want to speak out, and especially the ones that I was referring to, they're free to do so. But just know that if you do, I have every right to respond, because one thing I'm not going to tolerate is lies being told about me, and unfortunately, a lot of lies have been told about me, involving a lot of this shit. And it's just, I'm not going to sit here and let lies about me stand. So it is what it is. Emotions are great. Yeah. They're fan freaking tastic. He was so nasty to people who were just trying to help him. Yes, that's what it comes down to. Um that's definitely what it comes down to, is that a lot of these women really were just trying to help and be part of the community, and they feel slighted. And I've always said this, even if you don't understand why somebody's upset, like, you don't have to understand, just know that somebody's upset, hear them out. And like I said, even just an apology, I'm sorry I made you feel that way, that wasn't my intention, goes a long way. It goes a long way. And people can't even do that, because to them, saying that is admitting fault, right? But it's like, you might not even intentionally meant to do it. Like, especially when it comes to men, no offense to you men out there, but when it comes to the difference between women and men, women just want, like, even if you don't agree, right? Even if you don't agree with the reason a woman is upset, at least acknowledge that she's upset. At least acknowledge that she's hurting. Even if you don't get it, you might not have to agree with it, but that's why it's like, just talk it out. Just talk it out. It's about grown adults. And like, man, I'm telling you. Because I've had to deal with that too, where I'm just like, bro, like, we're adults. Why are we doing this shit online? You know, I've too many times, and I've been guilty of this too, and I'm kind of like over it. But like, instead of just talking directly to people, now it always has to be public for everyone to have an opinion and a take into something that they shouldn't have. It's not everyone's business to have an opinion on shit. But I'll tell you one thing: when one of these women try to, I don't know, try to expose me or cancel me and show out of context text messages in the DM group that I had left and have no access to spin a false narrative about me, that's kind of where I definitely drew the line. Because that's the thing, is like, I'm already dealing with one woman accusing me of getting paid by Andy Signore. Now I have another one out there trying to say that I was fake the whole time. Like, what? That's the thing, that to me, and anyone who believed that shit, anyone who actually believed that that's what I did and that's who I am, and you were going to believe that without even hearing my side of things, like, good riddance. I don't need you here. I don't need you here. I'm all set. Um just know that whatever you have been told, if you're not getting my side of it and you just want to listen and believe that side, you never cared. You never cared to hear my side. You just want to listen and believe. Because if I have ever shown you guys that that is who I really am, ever, and that's how you feel, that's how you feel. If you don't want to hear my side of things, don't hear my side of things. Then you belong over there. And then eventually you'll see it for yourself. Don't come back to me saying, oh, I'm sorry. Because I'm at the point now, I have no forgiveness for people anymore. My forgiveness meter is really low. I really don't have much forgiveness for people anymore. It's better that way. It's just better that way. Just saying. Like, and if you know, you know. Like, but I'm just saying, if you over there, then be over there. That's really all I'm gonna say. If you over there, then just be over there. Because I don't got time for it no more. I don't got the energy to be sitting here having to always fucking defend myself. Y'all have followed me for a long time. A lot of you guys talk to me. Still, in Discord, some people talk to me and on my phone and stuff. If for a split second any of y'all believe any of that bullshit, then then that's on you. Then you really don't know me, and you just showed me that, basically. So yeah. So yeah. Well, as in a man's perspective, there are some of us men that was the same thing, and women not obviously seems to be dismissive as well. No one will recognize his greasy ass on the street. Real talk. That's crazy. That's crazy. Shit, you have no idea. It's bad. Yeah, a lot of people are from that community. That's why, like I said, I mean, I know y'all miss the days when we would just roast Andy Signore, but it's kind of like, we've roasted him enough. I mean, there's not much more we could say on it, I mean, I'm sure there'll be a time. Like I said, every karma's a bitch, and she don't sleep, and it'll only be a matter of time. If he really is the biggest piece of shit that everyone says he is, right? Like I think he is. All right. It'll show. People will find out, and that'll be it. You have no idea who Andy Signore is. Well, consider yourself lucky then. Consider yourself lucky. Oh man. I can't wait to see the reaction to this one. Oh my god. She's talking about Andy. I thought she wasn't going to talk about Andy anymore. I mean, I'm kind of am, but not. It's just more so like calmly, finally expressing, addressing why I haven't and why I didn't plan on going back to it. Because like I said, when I did address it, I was emotional as hell. And now I'm not as emotional anymore about it. So I guess it was time. It's time. There are plenty of people to roast online. Humans always disappoint. That is very true. That is very freaking true. Very true. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Sorry, I'm like distracted. But anyways, that's kind of really what I wanted to say. We'll see if we'll see what else is going on in the interwebs. Oh my sweet baby Jesus. Oh my sweet baby Jesus. I'm like talking and watching videos on Instagram at the same time because I am a weirdo. You could always roast Becky. I mean, yeah, that's easy. Roasting Becky Boop's easy. But I hope there's more understanding now on my end. On what that situation is. Like I said, I wasn't trying to turn on anyone. It wasn't even like I did turn on anyone. It was more so just, just too much shit going on, and the information's out there. It's not going to go away. I will address one thing that has been said in regards to me privating all my videos. The videos aren't deleted. They're still on my channel. They're just privated. And the main reason I did that is just because moving on, and doing other things, talk about other topics. It had nothing to do with erasing the past or what Andy did. That's all still out there, and also it doesn't stop anyone. I think the whole thing, I saw somebody say that I was trying to like erase it all, or I was trying to, tell them to stop talking about it, or like they had to stop talking about it. No, I never said that or wanted that. And anyone who says that is just being very dishonest, because that wasn't the intention of me privating the videos covering Andy. it was just, first of all, if you find out that somebody wasn't being honest about something you talked about or covered or platformed, why would you let that stay up there? Number one. Number two, again, it had nothing to do with Andy or the situation. It more so had to do with me wanting to move on from the situation and cover other topics, and also rebranding my name. All my old videos have my old names on there. So it just made sense to just, private them. And that's it. 'Cause, like, there are still Twitter accounts out there that still talk about him, that still bring it up. They have clips of my streams. So I'm really not that pressed about like removing them. They still exist out there. And again, at that time, so many people already have seen it, and they know, and either they don't care and they're just, still supporting Andy or whatever. But it's not like that information hasn't been pretty much viral for a while, because anytime Andy pissed off a community, they would share it and talk about it. So it's not like nobody knows that those stories exist. So to be mad at me for privating the videos and streams on my channel is a little crazy, because I have every right to do that, but more so it wasn't for the reasons that people want to paint. And that's the crazy part, is I feel like the thing that sucks more is you would think that people who claim to know me and care about me would know that that's not why I did what I did. So that's just kind of, where I'm at with that. So with that situation, the videos, I still have them. I can unprivate them at any point. As actually a matter of fact, I keep saying it. I haven't done it because I have so many videos on this channel, but I did say that I was going to start unprivating videos and putting them under, the memberships, so that people can go back and watch all the old stuff. And no, I'm not doing that to get extra money. That's not why it's behind a paywall. It's more so because I've learned that I've kind of understood why people put certain things behind a paywall, including Andy, because Andy definitely puts the stuff behind a paywall. It makes it so that people, can't watch it later or clip it and go back to it and react to it or whatever. A lot of YouTubers been doing that lately to kind of prevent, their haters from going in and, taking their content and shit like that and using it for their shit and reacting. I started seeing that become a more trendy thing lately on this platform. And like I said, it's not even about like, I personally don't care if people go back onto my old shit, but I just felt like that'd be a nice perk to add to the tiers, because now I have tiers. So, Handsy Andy, yes. So yeah, that I'll probably do all the Andy stuff and put that on a playlist somewhere. And if y'all really want to go back and rewatch it, knock yourselves out. I mean, there's really not much to really see. It's usually the same old streams, me just saying the same old shit about Andy having a tiny peen and stuff. So it's not like and I also want to say too, the streams that I did with two of the women were privated before everything, because Andy was going around and striking people's videos down. And I was surprised that my video didn't get struck, but I privated some of those videos because Andy was going around striking them. So some of those videos were even privated before. So I don't even know why people were bringing up me privating my videos, because I had privated a couple of them before this all even happened, because Andy was false striking people's channels down. So that's just what it comes down to. Jeremy Burt's emotional and exciting stream for Katie. Wait, I have no idea who that is. Wait, what's going on? I don't know who. Wait, what's going on with Katie? What's up, Jeremy? Emotional and exciting stream for Katie. What's going on with Katie? We have an emotional stream. Emotional stream for Katie. I don't even know why I'm up right now. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know why I'm up. I got up earlier than I expected. I'm usually waking up at like 3, 4 o'clock. Because I was streaming late last night too. So I'm surprised I'm even awake right now. So does anyone have any questions before we not talk about this again for like another year or so? Don't worry about it. You brought up my chat, damn it. So does anyone have any questions, concerns? Now is the time. Now is the time. Ask me what you want to ask me. Susie says thank you next. Susie says thank you next. No questions, guys. Nobody wants any clarity on anything. We understand what the point of this stream is. Do we get what's going on? Come on, lurkers. God, I guarantee you, Andy Signore is gonna lose his shit seeing his name in picture on one of my thumbnails again. I guarantee you he's gonna lose his fucking shit. I guarantee you he's gonna lose his shit. Yeah, Ray didn't know that Ray knew what the times were that lands in the AM spot. That's also true. But it wasn't AM, it was 12, so it still wasn't AM. For me, it was 12. For me, it was 12. Oh my god, crazy cat. I'm definitely not going over everything again. It's just explaining why I don't talk about Andy Signore anymore. Because a lot of people have been asking me, a lot of people still reach out to me and tell me stuff that's going on with Andy, and I'm kind of just like, listen, this is what happened. This is why I'm not doing this anymore. It's nothing to do with the fact that I don't think that he's a piece of shit anymore. I still think he is. It has nothing to do, like, people saying that I've turned heel or turned on the movement is just not true. There was no turning. I don't think there was a movement. But I just felt it was just time to address it. I have no question. I've not heard the name Andy Signore more than a handful of times and can't recall who said it in the first place. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. He's almost at 1 million subscribers, y'all. I hope this time around he don't fuck it up, because he's getting back to where he used to be, guys. So he's making a lot of money over there on YouTube. So that is legitimately his livelihood. Legitimately that man's livelihood. I would hope that after everything that happened, he would wise up and not do this stupid shit again. But who knows, guys? I mean, at this point, the bigger he is, the more likely he's gonna be getting more women in his DMs and trying to mess around with them. But hey, ain't my business. I'll just laugh when it happens and be like, again? And I'll be the first one to boot up a live stream about it 100% and just be like, yo, that's crazy, because I called it. I called it. I'm sure, I won't say I called it first. I'm sure everyone called it, but I think Tommy C mentioned him a couple of times like a year ago. Yeah, because of like the whole thing that probably, happened with him, because I think Andy right now is doing the P. Diddy stuff. I think that's what he was doing. I checked over there last night when somebody brought it up, and I was just curious. And it looks like he's covering the P. Diddy stuff right now, so, which is kind of crazy considering. Like, it's kind of crazy considering the whole situation with these women. Like, you would think that, somebody who is already accused of shit multiple times in the last few decades. Last decade, this man has been accused of multiple related shit to P. Diddy, as far as like, his relationships with women and his apparently abusive nature. And you would think he wouldn't touch the P. Diddy story with a pole, but here we are. Here we are. Yeah, Neon Trion. Yeah. I mean, usually, like I said, Andy is known, and people will talk about him, but people won't talk about, the stuff with the chicks. So it is what it is. And At this point, that's why I just don't cover it, because it was a lot of shit going on in that 2 years of me covering it, my personal life, but also like behind the scenes. It was a lot, y'all. It was a lot, y'all. So he makes money by begging and exploiting women's stories and being a misogynistic asshole. Yep, and he will continue to do so. He will continue to do all that. So not anything I could do about it. So, but I will say this: at the end of the day, if people want to speak out against him, like, go for it, knock yourself out. I'm not stopping you. I think the idea that, like, it was funny because Andy thought I could keep these women quiet. Like, Andy's sitting there like, well, you're close to these women, you're friends with them, you have influence. Like, I'm not a fucking master manipulator, bro. Like, if I told one of these women, hey, stop talking about Andy, is that gonna work? Is that gonna make them stop talking? I'm like, just because these women trust me, like, they trusted me for a reason, I'm not gonna go back on that and just be like, hey, you gotta stop talking about Andy. Like, that is their choice. This happened to them. It didn't happen to me. And it's not the first time I've said I was going to slow down and stop talking about Andy and then go back on it. So it's like, it's not like I have any say in anything, dude. Like, I can't control people. Like, I don't know why people think I'm an influencer like that. I'm really not. I have no influence on anybody. I'm just a person who has a microphone and a computer and talks. And people, for some reason, listen. At least for, like, when I say listen, I mean they just hear what I have to say. So that's it, guys. That's all I really got. If nobody has anything else to add, no questions they want to ask, I mean, I guess that's it. That's all we really got. And hopefully I don't have to address this any further, but if I got to, I gotta. I hope I don't have to, but who knows? Because I'm sure that some people are not going to be happy about this stream. And I honestly just don't care. I just don't care anymore. I really don't. Okay, maybe I care a little bit. A little bit, guys. A little bit. But not as much as you guys want me to care. Okay? So, with that said, I'm going to go because I have some things I got to do. Figured I'd do the stream early because I'm going to try to get some shit done. And I will see you guys in the next one. Enjoy your miserable Monday. And yeah, that's all I got. Much love to y'all. You guys have a good one. Let me do my little outro here. Yep. There we go. And then I'm gonna play some music. And I don't know what I want to play. What do I want to play? Let's see. We'll end on. We'll play this one. Bye-bye.
Blah, 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 felt, sound like lost cows. Live more like fake cow, more like low cows. All that moving on the timeline. You too poppin' when you should be on that move too. Hey, Keemstar, you faker than some glazed donuts. I see your thumbnails, I'm like, that don't make no sense. Boogie fake cancer. Oh, you think we didn't know? I guess he missed the memo. Hey, Blackie, I got a question for you. What's the sentence for a falsified crime? If you're innocent, why you dodging all my questions? Hey, Michael, where you at, man, where you at? Kid behind the camera, more like kid behind the bars. Kid behind the camera, more like kid behind the bars. Kid behind the camera, more like kid behind the bars. Kid behind the camera, more like kid behind the bars. Man, I should just hop off this app. Everybody lying, what's the point in that? The liars get the love, so I should probably go and lie on the track. They say you should tell the truth, but that ain't true. You gotta keep it fake, it's the only way to break through. It's so much faker than you think it is. Oh, it's faker than you think it